Hey, Robin.
Hi, Steph.
So this one feels big in a different way. It feels like the moment when people start waking up, even just a little, after a long stretch of overwhelm, not heavy like freeze, but big in the sense of waking up again. I've been noticing in myself and in so many people, that moment right after the overwhelm starts to loosen. It's really subtle. It's like the world is still chaotic, but suddenly you can feel your feet again.
Yeah, that tiny moment where you realize, okay, I'm not fully back, but something in me is coming online again. And from that place, there's this little spark of curiosity. If I'm not frozen anymore, then what's next? What's actually mine to really do?
And that's what inspired this episode. The idea of responsibility. Not responsibility in the guilt, pressure, moral weight sense, but literally the ability to respond to yourself, to your environment, to your relationships, and to your own life.
Exactly. Awareness invites that responsibility, and presence restores direction. And today we get to talk about how people find that direction again. And always without forcing, without pressure, and without bypassing their nervous system.
Also, without falling into that old trap of thinking, if I can't fix everything, why do anything at all? There's so much all or nothing thinking around agency, especially after a shutdown. And keep in mind, this is kind of how we're socialized, to think and feel and act in black and white terms.
Let's take a small moment to arrive. Maybe noticing the temperature of the air around you or the weight of your body where you're sitting. Simply noticing that you're here in your body. And if you can, notice one point of contact, your seat, your feet, your back. Let your awareness go there for just a breath or two. If your mind is still half in the world and half here with us, that's okay. Arrival doesn't demand anything from you. If your system still feels slow or tender after episode 30, you're not behind. This episode is a gentle bridge out of freeze, not a leap. Let your inhale come naturally, and let your exhale fall however it wants to. See if your attention can settle a little closer into yourself. And know that's all you need for right now.
One of the hardest things about living in a world that's constantly in crisis is that it can make you feel like nothing you do matters. It just will never be good enough. You start to feel small inside, something very big. I felt that recently. There have been days I've opened the news and immediately felt that tightening in my chest, the sense of what's the point? I can't change any of this. It's such a human response.
Yes, and freeze amplifies that helplessness. Freeze strips away your sense of direction. And it's not because you don't care. It's because your system has had to protect you from too much, too fast, for just way too long. And once that thaw begins, even in a subtle way, people usually feel this small internal shift. I know I can't do everything, but what can I do? And that's where that responsibility comes online.
I love that. Responsibility isn't about grand gestures or perfect choices. It's about choosing from presence instead of panic or collapse.
Presence becomes the compass. It's the thing that helps you separate what's yours from what isn't and reconnect to your own direction in a way. Think of those moments when you pause long enough to notice, oh, this tension in my chest, this might not actually be mine, or this problem isn't something I can solve alone. That clarity is presence doing its job. So when Stephanie and I talk about responsibility, we're talking about the moment your system can tolerate awareness again, enough awareness to decide something, even something small.
Exactly. And sometimes that awareness leads to action, I'd say more often than not. And sometimes it leads to rest, which I think is wildly underappreciated. Both are responses, both are very legitimate.
I like that. Exactly. Responsibility is not performance, it's alignment.
Truly. I mean, sometimes alignment looks really ordinary, like answering one email you've been avoiding, or deciding you actually need to log off social media for the rest of the night because your chest feels tight.
Yes, or realizing I actually don't have the capacity for this conversation today and choosing to circle back later. That's responsibility too, noticing your limits without making them that moral failure.
It's not a moral failure. I personally had a moment last week where I kept trying to push through my to-do list. Those holidays, they're vicious sometimes. But my whole body was in that low, slow shutdown mode. And the story in my head was, you're being lazy. Just get it together. But when I paused, I realized my system wasn't being dramatic. It was asking for pacing.
That is such a relatable moment. And that pause you took, that's that doorway I always say, or, that bridge. That's that moment where choice really does come back online, where you do really give yourself that permission. It's not about doing more. It's about being in relationship with yourself again.
Right. I think that's why this episode matters. Not like others don't, but this one really, it's a big one because people don't always realize that those tiny moments of self-contact are the beginning of getting their agency back. I'm excited to talk about a nervous system nugget today. It's one of my favorites. Co-regulation is leadership. Your state teaches others what's possible. Oof.
Oh, that is such a powerful truth. We tend to think leadership is behavior, what we do, what we say, how we solve things. But from a nervous system lens, leadership is really truly energetic. When you're grounded, people around you feel more grounded. When you're regulated, people feel safer. When you're connected, people can orient to that.
It's very true. If I could say something that's kind of related, but when I first met you, I think that that's what I experienced quite a bit. Was,
Oh,
yeah, that calm, that
thanks.
regulating. Well, it kind of is a nice segue into, we don't calm people by telling them to calm down, right? We're not just demanding peace with chaos because it doesn't work. We calm them by being calm, right? We don't help people feel safe by lecturing. We help by embodying safety. Humans learn regulation through other regulated people.
That's so eloquently put. And this circles back to responsibility again, because your presence, not your productivity, is what shapes your influence. So co-regulation is the nervous system saying, I'll go first. Come with me.
Moving into the coping tool for this week. This one is going to be called Radius of Influence Mapping. And it's one of the most clarifying things you can do when this world feels overwhelming.
So there are 3 circles, and this connects right back to our nervous system nugget, because knowing your radius of influence is another form of co-regulation. It helps your system find clarity instead of overwhelm. So the first circle is what's mine. This is your inner circle, the things you can directly impact, choose, or shift. So this could be how I speak to myself, how I speak to others, how I use my energy, and what I allow in my space. Also, how I attend to my body, my emotions, and my boundaries. And then area 2. So what's ours? This is the shared space. So this is relationships. This is communities, conversations. It includes repairing a rupture, renegotiating expectations, naming needs in a relationship, co-creating routines or agreements, mutual decisions or support. And then we have 3, the outside. So this is the world. These are the things that are real, impactful, and important, but not fully within your direct influence. So these are systems, culture, institutions, global events, collective crisis, all of that.
And I love that. This is so informative and helpful. My brain is popping many, many thoughts simultaneously. I'm pretty sure most people collapse all 3 circles into one overwhelming pile. Wouldn't you say, Robin?
Absolutely.
Yeah. They try to, solve global problems with personal level energy. I see that all the time. Or they take on relational problems alone.
Yeah, I love that clarity you gave. So exactly, mapping them out is going to help your nervous system differentiate what's asking for my reaction versus what's actually within my responsibility. Once people understand that difference, something inside relaxes. They stop trying to carry everything. You give yourself permission to just kind of let go.
This is the moment where integrity returns, where action becomes sustainable, where helplessness finally starts to loosen its grip.
Before we wrap up, take a moment to notice where your body is now compared to when we started. Even a small shift counts. Here's your reflection question for the week. Where have I been trying to carry something that isn't mine? And what is one small nervous system aligned action that belongs in my circle again?
What a fun activity. Remember, you don't have to fix the world. You just have to be willing to meet your radius of influence with presence.
Your body already knows what's yours, and it will show you gently as you're ready.
And remember, healing isn't linear, and we're here for the ride.
Thanks for sitting with us today. If something resonated, we'd love it if you shared the episode, left a review, or connected with us on social. We're 2 therapists walk into a podcast on most platforms. You can listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not therapy, does not replace therapy, and does not establish a therapist-client relationship. If you're in crisis, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional or call 988 in the U.S. Robin Green is a licensed therapist in Arizona, and Stephanie Edsall is licensed in Utah, but this podcast is intended for a general audience.